the battlefield is a crazy environment. So somebody gets shot and the goals are to patch them up, get them out of there as fast as you possibly can. It can be a high intensity environment, and there's no mechanism for really capturing what happens to that individual. So often the medics will write on a piece of tape on their arm, they'll try to capture some key data. And what was happening is that patient would be handed off to another group, perhaps a helicopter crew, taken back to a field hospital and presenting, and there wasn't a lot of information about what happened to that patient. And so the clinicians, the emergency department or the trauma team had to start with very little information and figure out what's going on, trying to treat that patient. Also had ramifications because sometimes the information never got into the service member's medical record. And so when it came time for discharge considerations or medical discharge considerations, it was hard to even prove they had a battlefield injury. And so that's the military's interest here. What can we do to capture key information from the time it happens all the way through to when the trauma surgeons are seeing this patient for the first time, to give them the information they need to take really good care of this patient and understand what forces were applied to this patient, what was their change in blood pressure over time during the export, what else happened to this person. So part of it is really about the direct care of this patient. The other part is then by migrating the data into an electronic health record note, that becomes a permanent part of their medical record so that if they go through medical discharge retirement eligibility in the future, that there would be a clear record of exactly what happened to this individual.
Running speech recognition in the battlefield, that's our first goal, because that's really how most of the medics in the battlefield communicate and operate. Everything is through communication. So there's verbal communication, but there's also just gesture communication, given all the things that's happening in the battlefield. Especially when things are loud, chaotic, there's still battles going on in the background.
It's going to get real loud, okay?
Okay. Typically in the tactical scenario, things are moving really quick. You don't spend a lot of time writing out information or sharing a lot of detailed information. And that's what's unique about this project, in that we're trying to create it so it's simple, so the medic can speak, that information can be picked up immediately and transcribed into a record, and that record can reach the physician or the hospital much quicker, so we have a clearer picture of what happened to that casualty.
By capturing all the information with our system, that's the first goal. We wanted to make sure that we capture the video and the audio even before we do any analysis of that. So that information becomes the ground truth. We will save it with the patient's record, and then once they're safely recorded, we feed it through a whole bunch of different analysis. So that will give us the speech transcript of what they have said. We will identify important information from the speech, basically like blood pressure, vital signs, what kind of casualty are we seeing. And then once we have that, then in the back end, there will be human observers that can look at that information and analyze that information. And if there's anything that doesn't go as expected, either there's errors in the speech that is found, or there are new type of objects that's seen in the video that hasn't been correctly identified, then they can continue to improve the system by putting in all those feedback. The whole system is emphasizing on this full life cycle of continuous evolution of the performance, so that you can do new things as you go on this system. So within the very short time, in 2 years, we identified all the major software pieces that will have to be there, and then that will interact with each other and put together this pilot system. And then we do performance benchmarks to each of the individual parts to identify what are really the key focus for DoD going forward.
Ultimately, if we can get a device that's durable, that captures what's happening in video and audio and maybe other sensory data in the future, this will give not only the battlefield medics, but potentially civilian EMS an opportunity when they come onto a big horrific auto scene of capturing what's going on, what were the forces, capturing the video of the smashed cars, and was it a T-bone or what kind of auto accident was it? And then being able in the future to be able to transmit that data ahead of time before the patient arrives at the emergency department, or in the military's case, before the field hospital. So they can be ready, the physicians can have an opportunity to review all of the data and know exactly what's about to walk in the door before it walks in the door. This has real applications to improving human lives, saving lives.